Today we're going to look past that familiar blue uniform. We're diving deep inside the South African Police Service to find the specialized units you almost never see, the teams working in the shadows, out on the water, and even up in the sky.
I mean, seriously, just take a second. What's the very first thing that pops in your head? Is it the uniform? A car with its lights on?
Yeah, for most of us, it's probably that officer walking the beat, right? Or maybe a patrol car responding to a call. And look, that's a super important part of the job for sure, but
That's really just the tip of the iceberg. It's one piece of a way bigger puzzle. Behind that officer is this whole complex network of specialists, all of them working to fulfill this core constitutional duty. So today, let's put the rest of that puzzle together.
okay, so let's jump right in with the high-stakes responders. These are the units that get the call when things are really spiraling out of control. You know, when a situation needs way more than just standard policing.
And first up in this group are the negotiators. I mean, think about it. Their primary weapon is literally just words. These are the pros, the absolute specialists in de-escalation.
They're the ones sent into some of the most intense situations you can even imagine. You're talking active hostage situations, standoffs with someone barricaded inside a building, kidnappings, and, so importantly, helping people who are a danger to themselves. No matter the scenario, the goal is always the same: end the crisis peacefully.
All right, so now let's scale up a bit. We've gone from a crisis with one or two people to a massive group dynamic. When you have huge crowds, you need a totally different kind of specialist, and that's where the Public Order Policing Unit, or POP as they're often called, comes in.
And believe me, this is a huge operation. We're talking 28 of these specialized POP units spread all across the country. They've got the specific training and gear to handle situations that would just completely overwhelm a local police station. But okay, what happens when talking isn't enough? When a situation is past negotiation or crowd control, and you need a serious, high-risk, tactical response? Well, that's when you call in the big guns, the elite units like the Special Task Force and the National Intervention Unit.
And their mission? It's crystal clear. They're a stabilizing force. They go into these incredibly risky situations, whether it's urban terror or a rural crime hotspot, and they neutralize the threat. The whole point is to make the area safe again, so that normal, everyday policing can get back to work.
Okay, so we've talked about the kind of crisis. Now let's switch gears and talk about the place. Because, crime doesn't just happen on city streets with nice paved roads. The police have to be ready to go absolutely anywhere. And to cover a country this big and diverse, they've had to create specialized units for pretty much every terrain imaginable, on land, in the water, and up in the air.
So on land, the variety is just incredible. You've got the mounted service, literally police on horseback, patrolling borders and dealing with things like stock theft. Then there are the canine units. Get this, 104 of them, with dogs trained for everything you can think of. Then there's the railway police, securing a massive 33,000 kilometers of track, and even a special unit, the Accident Combating Service, that investigates the absolute worst and most complex road crashes.
But what happens when the crime scene isn't on land at all? What if it's at the bottom of a dam or a river? Well, that's when the Inland Water Policing and Diving Service gets the call. These police divers have the incredibly tough and often grim job of searching and recovering things underwater, whether it's a key piece of evidence or, sadly, the bodies of victims.
So, we've covered the ground and we've covered the water. That just leaves one place left to go.
And that's the sky. The SAPS Air Wing is like the eye in the sky for the guys on the ground. It gives them this huge advantage, right? They can track fleeing cars, watch a crime scene unfold to direct the ground units, and fly search and rescue missions. That bird's-eye view is just invaluable.
All right, so far we've really been talking about that immediate, on-the-scene response. But what happens after the sirens stop and the scene is secure? Well, that's when a totally different kind of work kicks in, the slow, patient job of piecing it all together. Welcome to the world of the investigators.
And it's not like there's just one type of detective. Far from it. As you can see here, you've got specialists for the most sensitive cases, like the Family Violence Unit. You've got the financial wizards in commercial crime, and then you have teams whose entire job is to take down huge organized crime syndicates. Right at the top of that pyramid are the Hawks. You might hear them called the DPCI, and they handle the biggest national threats like major corruption.
But here's the thing. Investigation isn't always about looking backward at what already happened. The whole point of crime intelligence is to look forward.
Their job is to be proactive, to gather information and analyze it, to figure out what criminals might do next. And this is the key. They feed that info to the other units, giving them a heads up to stop crimes before they even start.
Okay, so finally, let's talk about the glue that holds all of this together. Because none of these specialized units, not one, could do their job without a massive support system and a real connection to the community. This is the absolute foundation of the entire service.
And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, think about this number, 72. That's how many ports of entry, land, sea, and air, that SAPS border security has to lock down. Every single airport, seaport, and land border crossing. That is a truly massive job, and it's so critical for national security.
And that support system is so much more than just borders. You've got reservists. These are volunteers, everyday people from the community stepping up. There's a rural safety strategy in place at over 845 police stations. You have mobilization support, the logistics pros who make sure everyone and everything gets where it needs to go. And of course, the protection services, the folks who protect presidents and diplomats.
So, what this all boils down to is that a modern police force is this incredibly complex ecosystem. The next time you see that one officer on patrol, just remember, they're just the most visible part of this whole web. From the diver in a cold river, to the canine handler, to the analyst staring at a screen, every single one of them has a critical role to play.